place, ready to rock and roll. Okay, you know what's amazing? Okay, so what's really amazing is that this week is all about taking action. So I want to ask you right now, are you where you want to be this year? Are you where you want to be this year? I know I'm not. Anybody else? Anybody else? Can we have a moment right now where we can be super honest with each other? Are we where we want to be this year right now? Go in the chat and let me know. Are you where you want to be this year so far? Yes or no? Yes or no? Go in the chat. No, no. Let me see here. Come on. I want to see you. I want to see you. Go in the chat. Let me know. Okay, people are popping in there. Good, 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 good. Okay, so that's good that you're not where you want to be. And the reason why it's good where you're not, hi Rebecca, how are you? Hi Teresa, good morning. I wish I would have had singing lessons when I was a kid. I just recently found out, can I just have a digressing moment? I just recently found out that my mom used to be a singer and then she started smoking. True story, she started smoking and then she couldn't sing anymore. I never knew that about myself. Do you know that my entire life I had something inside me that wanted to be a singer? Who are my singers out there? Put an S in the chat. Put an S in the chat. Who are my singers? Oh my gosh, I love you guys. So I always wanted to be a singer. I found out on this trip where my mom was just here for 3 months. I found out on this trip, I move this up, that literally my mom has a great voice. And you know what's crazy? My son runs around singing, all of this stuff. I'm like, gosh, identity is everything. You guys get that? It's so funny how much we live into the identity of who we actually think we are, which is why it's so important to develop and build your identity. Why it's so important for you to develop and build your identity so that you live the life you want. So I want you to write the word identity down on a piece of paper. Write the word identity down on a piece of paper. I'm going to highly encourage you. We're going to start in like 11 minutes. We're going to start the challenge in like 11 minutes. So, we got a 21-minute training about how do we dominate this week? How do I look at disappointments, moments where I'm not where I want to be and still keep myself in the game and not give up? Because you know what? It's only the people who give up that don't hit it. It's always the people who give up that don't hit it. It's rarely the people who go after all the way that don't, actually, I don't even know anybody that goes after all the way that doesn't actually land where they want to land. Okay, because if you don't give up, you got to eventually, it's got to come together, right? Do you get that? It's got to come together if you don't give up. And so if you just don't give up, it's got to come together. So I've got some strategies on this and where I go in my head and where I go in my energy to be able to create the results. So I'm gonna break that up for you guys, and then we're gonna do some homework tonight. Who's done the homework over the weekend? Who has been doing the homework over the weekend? Go in the chat and say me. Who's been doing the homework over the weekend? I'm doing it tonight. Me. Who's doing the homework? Go in the chat and let me know. Okay, so I didn't finish yet. Okay, so I'm just gonna grab you, Kim, for a second. I didn't finish yet. I don't know what happened. Okay, and that's not what's important. Just ask yourself, is that a pattern that happens too often? Right? Just ask yourself, is that a pattern that happens too often? Where you start things and you don't finish? A lot of times that has to do with promoters, people who are like high promoters. They start things and they don't finish them. So I don't know if that's you. I'm just encouraging people. I have a rule inside of my coaching department. When I'm coaching a client, we don't change dates. Do you see what I'm saying? The first time, some of you guys might have heard me say this, the first time in 10 years, I started changing dates at the end of last year to accommodate someone. And when I was doing that, I was taking care of them. That was my supporter, right? Some of you guys have been following the style flexing. My supporter was taking care of someone. And what do you think it did? It hit my confidence. And Dean Graziosi shared last week, protect your confidence with everything. And so it's not about doing everything perfect. It's about noticing the patterns that work and the patterns that don't work. And you got to know what your identity is on what you're going after. I guarantee you Steve Jobs learned a lot by the time he got to the end of his life. And I guarantee you there's things he would have changed 100% looking back. However, in the process of creating what he was creating, he didn't get to work at Apple anymore. Then he got to come back to Apple, and he's an amazing CEO, but wildly emotional on creating results, wildly high standards, very, very hard man to work for. But look at what they created as a legacy on their team, right? So I just ask you, what is the identity that you're building? Because I know when I was in real estate and I went from not being able to sell it all to doing over $100 million in 15 months, it was actually $170 million in sales in 15 months. You know, the person that I would role model her identity was Kim Kiyosaki. Who knows her? Kim Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I remember I used to walk into meetings and I always wore a suit back then because I thought the identity was a suit, right? And I would always walk into these meetings and when I walked in, I'd be like, okay, how would Kim walk in? How would she role model this? And I would actually channel my inner Kim. Okay, so sometimes you got to look at who are the people that you admire most in your life. Who are the people? And I want you to write down 3 right now. Write down 3 people that you admire the most right now. Just write them down quickly. Don't overthink this, just go. Everybody on my team, you should do exactly the same thing. Who are 3 people that you admire right now? For whatever reason, you're like, I could use a little of that in my life, right? I could use a little bit of that in my life. Who are those 3 people? Now I want you to ask yourself, what are some of the characteristics of those 3 people? Where's something, and just jot it down. Don't overthink it. Just jot it down. Even my analyzers, just jot it down, right? Make a decision fast. If you don't make a decision fast, and by the way, that's getting killed in this world right now. People are in this freaking COVID coma around the world, and they're needing coddling to make a decision. That is scarier than shit. Because if you can't make a decision fast, I'm telling you, that's why life isn't where it needs to be right now. It has 100% comes down to how you can make decisions and can you make them fast, right? So now write down what are some of the characteristics of each of those 3 people. Just jot them down. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to get done. Just get it done, right? What are some things in those personalities? So Kim Kiyosaki, she's bold, she's beautiful, she's powerful, she is smart. If I think about Sarah Blakely, she's bold, she's playful, she's handles a lot of things. She's got a big bandwidth, and she's smart. Okay, so what do I have in common? There's some words that are common in both of those people that I just said, both those women. Bold, courageous, handles a lot, and smart, right? So if I'm building an identity of where I want to go and I look up to those people, right? And I say, oh, I love Sarah Blakely. I'm a huge Sarah Blakely fan. Right. And she has poured into my life. She's spoken into my life. She's called me, she cares. She's got a good heart, and she is completely disconnected from the way you think about her. Do you know what I mean? She had to give up all of the identity of I need to be liked to be able to be successful, because guess what? The number one thing she always says is how underestimated she is because she's a woman. Do you know what I mean? She says that all the time. She is strong, really strong. And she also has a really big heart. And she also has a boatload of children and a crazy town husband that you cannot nail down. You know what I mean? It's just like he's crazy town husband who's amazing. And so I share this with you because you got to look at who you look at and say, I want that. It's not that you can't create that. It's not that you can't create, that $1 billion company. I know I'm pulling you up. But aren't you tired of living realistically? Yes or no? Are you tired of living realistically? In real estate, I never thought I'd do $170 million in sales. You know what I thought? Maybe I could create, a couple $100,000, maybe. We have a brand new person on our sales team that's done in 4 weeks, $100,000 in sales. We have another one that was brand new 2 months ago that did $300,000 in sales. What's the difference between the 2 of them? Identity, 100% just identity. Wherever they held themselves is where they went. Now you can short circuit identity by being naive. Naive is a really, really good thing. I know the world's told you it's not. It's a really good thing. Be naive enough to make it. Be naive enough to make it. Where are you grounding yourself logically right now? Be naive enough to make it. When I was in real estate, I was totally naive. I never thought, I didn't have the vision that was that big. Vision is critically important, but I didn't have the vision that big. I feel like God bait and switched me because literally there's no way I would have went all in if I was building that. You know what I mean? I had no context for that. But what I did have a context for was taking care of my boss. I was obsessed with, I took care of my boss the same way I took care of my stepmom when I was a little girl. She was an air stewardess, and when she went and flew out of town, when she was coming back into town, I would go buy, in Canada, there's a chocolate bar called Sinclair's. I used to go buy her favorite chocolate bar and I'd put it underneath her pillow, and I would get a card and I would bring it to my dad, and I'd have my dad write her notes in the card, and I'd put it with the chocolate bar. Do you know, I don't even think to today that she even knows that was me. I don't think she even knows that was me today. But you know what it did? I watched the result was a tight, loving, appreciative relationship from that little chocolate bar and that card. And so I share that with you because when I got into real estate, instead of me focusing on me, trying to create the result for me, and I'm still this way today, I feel like generosity, write this down, generosity is a key to a doorway. It's a key to a doorway. Okay. And so I took the same mentality of loving my stepmom well, and I went into loving my boss well. And because I really wanted to see my boss win, her and her husband win, I was able to look at the real estate market and go, my leadership is incapable of showing homes. Instead of spending the next 5 years of my life trying to figure out how to be directionally competent, everybody wants competency. You actually use the word confident, which it's nothing to do with confidence. It's competency you want, right? And you don't get that unless you follow through, make decisions fast, and go after it. You don't get it unless you do that. And so I literally was like, my leadership can't show homes. And so, but what I can do is I can go find buyers. So you guys, who coaches with me in business strategy? Say me, who coaches with me in business strategy? So business strategy, I don't start with the product, I start with the list. I don't start with the product, I start with the list. And everybody wants to start with the product. What do I sell? Which is all about who? Who's that? Who's that about? What do I sell? That's all an I conversation. You got to shift it to who's the group of people that I want to serve. In my case, it was my boss. And this is good everywhere. My husband, my kid, right? I don't try and get from the relationship. Everybody that told you a relationship was 50-50 is completely off the mark. I'll show you somebody limited and capped. A relationship, whether that's in a career, whether that's as an entrepreneur with their growing their business, whether you're in a marriage, a relationship is you're 100% in 100% of the time. And what happens is you have moments where you don't feel like being 100% in. So you do your best, but you're 100% in, and it's not fair. 50-50 does not create a good relationship. 50-50 does not create a good relationship. That is a lie. It's a world deception. Okay, and there's lots of those out there right now. Who feels me? Yes, there's lots of world deceptions out there right now. And so you got to put yourself in a position where you're 100%. So with my boss, I was like, I can't show homes because my leadership isn't there. So what can I do? I can go find people who already have buyers. I cut a video that was really bad. I was flipping my hair like, hi, my name is Shanda. I swear they looked at the top of my head the entire time. And I asked them if they wanted to buy real estate in America. Right now, if anybody's got a real estate license, you know you're told you're only allowed to sell in your state. That's not true. This is the box that we live in. Who wants to break the box today? We're on the last week of the month. Who wants to break the box today? Right? If you got to break the box, if you're going to be courageous enough to break the box, guess what you need to do? Make decisions fast. You must make decisions fast. You got to focus on what you're gaining, not what you're losing. I'm worried that if I do this, if I buy this car, I won't be able to afford it. I'm worried if I move to this country, I won't be able to get a job. I'm worried that if I hire Shanda as a coach or Russell Brunson as a coach, I'll be another failure like I've done in the past. Stop it. What are you going to gain? Because when you focus on what you're going to gain, you move yourself powerfully, change the timer, you move yourself powerfully towards the direction of your dreams and where you want to go. Got it? So now we're going to shift gears and we're going to get into the 21-minute training today. You guys ready for this? Ready for this? So I want to ask you, have you looked at the 3 personality traits of the people that you admire most? And have you written down what their characteristics are and found the pattern? Because if you're going to rock it in life, you got to find the pattern that either needs to be broken or needs to be modeled. I'm going to tell you something we say in leadership all the time. If you're a human doing, and you might have heard this before, but if you're a human doing, you got a problem, you're capped on time. Who's got a time issue? Put a T in the chat. Who's got a time issue? Put a T in the chat. Guys, at the end of this week, we are halfway through 2022. We are halfway through 2022. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen this week. You get what I'm saying? If it's going to happen, it's going to happen this week. It's time to go all in. Who's ready to go all in? Who's ready to go all in? Put in the chat right now. If it's going to happen right this week. It's you don't say I got a New Year's resolution to lose weight and I'll get there when January 1st. Already lost. I'm going to tell you, I wouldn't bet on you. If you literally promised me your house, I wouldn't bet on you. Because the person who's going to make it is already in the action. Why? They're not looking at, I'm going to sacrifice food. Do you get what I'm saying here? Do you see how much this identity of being is everything? Okay, so if I'm like, I want to get in the best shape of my life, but I feel like I'm going to sacrifice food, so I'm not going to start till Monday. Okay, what are you really focusing on? You're focusing on what you're actually going to lose. You're focusing on the sacrifice. I would 100% be willing to sacrifice bad for you food to not have a heart attack. Who's with me? Yes or no? 100%, but we don't think like that because we haven't been trained to think like that. So I'm going to talk to you about how I go through my week and how I actually stay on the point. How many of you guys have been disappointed going after goals and ambitions? How many of you guys have disappointed yourself? How many of you guys have disappointed yourself? Right? 100%. But that you get stuck in that. Put your videos on, you guys. Don't sit there without your videos if you're on Zoom with me. Okay, so that mentality has been trained into us. It's been trained into us from our parents who loved us, their parents, and their parents, and generations. Who's going to break a generational curse today? Put me in the chat. Okay, in order to do that, you have to be highly intentional. Highly intentional. And it's not about you doing more. You will do more because your bandwidth grows. That's leadership. Right? And then you guys, who's been with me since the beginning of the challenge? Who's been with me since the beginning of the challenge? 2 weeks ago. Right? So you get it. You're starting to get it. Everything is leadership. So people are like, I just need a break. No, you don't. You need to strategize differently. Oh, I know it's time management. No. Delegation still means that you're in the hub, and that's still the advice of the person who's broke. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? Let me repeat that. There's different advice levels. I would like to skip you to the top. Who's ready for that? Like, are you ready to stop holding yourself back and saying, well, I need more of an education to start a business, or I'm not an entrepreneur, so I'm not going to take responsibility for my finances. Oh my gosh, like, I think I need another PhD. Who are my PhDs out there? I love you guys because you guys can go after it, right? It's like, I need another PhD to be able to be credible in this area. Like, we're chasing all the doing. And don't get me wrong, I am a doer. Who are my doers out there? Put do in the chat, right? D-O, put do in the chat. I am a complete doer, but I'm a doer because of the way that I operate in my mind, my being, my characteristic, right? And so if I want 5 kids, which I don't, but if I wanted 5 kids like Sarah Blakely, and I wanted to run a $1 billion company, and I wanted to be an extraordinary wife, right? Her and Jesse, if their volume and their words start to go up, it's not about you can't ever be an asshole. It's about catching yourself when you're becoming an asshole. Get what I'm saying? Like when you're becoming the worst version of yourself and you're about to get in a fight, it's about how do you shift in that moment to be able to change the destiny of where you're going to. What they do is they slow dance. They slow dance, which it takes a lot of leadership when you're ready to go at it. They're like, hey, baby, let's slow dance. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, it takes a lot of discipline to do that. What is discipline? It's leadership. Get what I'm saying? So here's what I do. I want you to write this down. Number 1, because you got to spot the pattern. This is how you know what to prioritize. But number 1 for me to have a great week that doesn't disappoint me, where I've gone all in. I can miss a mark, but if I go all in, I'm going to get close to it. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm going to get close to it. My biggest mistake is setting realistic goals for a lot of my life. It's been one of my biggest mistakes. It's stolen years off my life. I spent way too long trying to build my confidence when really what I needed to build was my courage. Somebody pick that up? Do you see why that's important? My courage would have went for bigger goals, which means that I would have went more all in because I would have been more scared of failure. Everybody thinks rejection and all of these things, they can work for you, because the truth is every high performer I know they don't go to a place of flow. They just don't. It's in the flow. They just don't. I don't know a minister of a church. I'm talking like a godly person, like a massive, they're not in the flow. They're working their ass off. Okay, like Jesus didn't just in the flow. He worked his butt off. Do you hear what I'm saying, you guys? So this spiritual training, how everything is in the flow, is another lie. And I know I might upset some people, but would you like me to get you past the advice that holds you here and get you up here? Because there's a power to being in the zone. I have a whole event called the Zone Event. That's about being the athlete, being the spiritual person, being the artist that's in the zone where time passes. But that is not the majority of the work. Getting in the zone is the challenge. You guys feel me here? Yes? Getting in the zone is the challenge. That's where intimacy lies. That's why if you have a time issue in your life, you have an intimacy issue, which means you don't get in the zone easily, which means it's almost a byproduct of luck. You guys hear me? Anybody following yourself in this right now? You've had outer body experiences giving advice, and you're like, gosh, I wish I could live there. Yeah, you need to know how to put yourself there. So the first thing you have to do to have a week that does not disappoint you is you need to define what a great week is. Okay, so I make 3-year goals. I definitely make 3-year goals, but I don't keep looking at the 3-year goals. Okay, I might look at it 2 or 3 times in a year. I don't look at it. Okay, and so I don't know. You always you're going in that direction. You're going to land there. Eventually, if I don't stop, I'm going to land there, right? Same with you. So I define my weeks and I define my months. I work everything in 30-day quadrants. So I got 30, 60, 90. So in 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days, I know what I want my quarter to look like, right? I've got benchmarks, and every month there's one major benchmark. This is how I keep the bandwidth in my head clean, so I can have more time. And let me tell you, everybody, I would say when I work with a new team of people, it's very rare. My COO, Chris, I work really well with him. He's a rare bird, because a lot of times people they're so far in the future and miss how to build the foundation now. Do you get what I'm saying? Like when I did $170 million in real estate, it was because I had a very strong operational team that needed none of my input. None. Right? I could focus on marketing and sales, which 90% of it was sales and 10% was marketing. Okay. And so what I did was I went and found buyers groups, and I created partnerships. We got a mic live. I created partnerships. This is no different in my business today. Okay. I partner with Facebook, Instagram, YouTube to run traffic, and I pay them an upfront commission. In real estate, I made partnerships where they already had the traffic of the people, and I paid them a performance commission. Business is making money is the same. You take money, you multiply it. You don't lose it. You take money, you multiply it. If you lose it, then you need to know how. You can't accept that. Everybody write that down. Do not accept defeat. There is always a way. So success, 100%, who wants to know this? Success does not come from turning on a life or business campaign and you get to the destination on autopilot. Success comes from, and this is why I say everything is leadership. If you don't study leadership and become obsessed with your leadership, how you take action, this week will be a great indicator, right? If you don't get obsessed with that, you will burn through money and burn through time, vitality. It's way more important. You know, my business, I pretty much do 3 main marketing strategies. And I study with the best of the best. And it's Sarah Blakely, whatever. I don't study with Sarah, but like I've gotten to go and ask her questions on her business. It's amazing to me What's your distribution channel of traffic? How do you survey to make sure you're selling your product the way they want to buy? And how do you create a reoccurring buyer's base? So if it's that simple, why aren't more people at the top? Because they can't problem solve. And problem solving is 100% leadership. People quit too early. They quit at I can tell you somebody's character on when you quit. 100%. I can tell your character. Do you know what I mean? And so what's your character? Back to your identity. You got to strengthen your identity so that you don't quit. So I have a rule. I follow through until I complete what I start. And that is how I don't let myself off the hook ever. Do you hear what I'm saying? Yes? Like I've been working on an evergreen funnel since last October. I think we have completely figured it out at this point. I will know in the next 10 to 2 weeks, right? But I think, so think about that. From October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, 9 months I've been working on one video. 9 months. Do you see what I'm saying? So like, you got to get obsessed about that thing. So if I don't define what success is, guess what my success has been? 2 things. One of the events we do, a certain number of people that we're helping in it. And the second one is an automation video that I was just talking to you about that I started 9 months ago, an automation video that actually creates that result. And so what does success look like to me this year? It's actually all 100% in that. When that domino's figured out, which I think it is now, then that frees me up to give more, which means I can write more books, I can create more products and programs, I can create more roadmaps for our clients and show them, here's the steps I took to get here if you want this result. Here's the steps you can take to get to 300,000. Who wants to make $300,000 a year? Put 300 in the chat. Who wants to make $500,000 a year? Put $500,000 in the chat. Who are my millionaires? Put an M in the chat. Who are my millionaires? Put an M in the chat. Okay, so here's the thing. All of that's good, but my question is, do you make decisions fast enough? Because it shouldn't take a lifetime to create it can take just as much effort to hit the million as it does the 300,000. The only difference is identity. Do you trust me to coach you? Did you jump into our leadership program? Right? Like what, or did money stop you? Right? Or did time stop you? Or did time zone stop you? Or I'm not really sure what it is. Do you see what I'm saying? What stopped you? See, I can't let anything stop me. I can't let anything stop me. I'm willing to take massive action on whatever comes into my space and complete and get the desired result. And I will do whatever it takes to create the desired result. Get that? Yes? So how do I do that? That's number 2. Scott, number 1, I got to define what does success look like. So everybody, I want you to define after we do this training today. If you're in the Facebook group, I want you to do it in the Facebook group, right? I want you to define what success looks like this week. Okay, and I'll randomly go through the Facebook group and I'll give out like, let's say $100 prepaid visas. Okay, we'll grab like 5 or 6 people and we'll bless you with $100 because you actually went in there and did the homework. I don't want to hear 17 things. I want to create this result, my event. I want to create this result, my marriage. I want to create this result. I have a very clear target for my son right now. It's very, very clear. I was praying over him last night. I was hugging him. I was like, oh my gosh, this is my next level as a mom, right? I was like, boom, I'm going to break this one identity trait that's expressing itself in a characteristic. Do you see what I'm saying? And I can see, by the way, how I'm responsible for that. And so not only do I have to break it in him, I got to break it in me to go the next level. Do you see that level of responsibility? You must own it like that to keep your power. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Who needs to take your power back? Put P in the chat. Who needs to take your power back? Okay, so I'm telling you, you got any lack of forgiveness, you got frustration, blame, any of that, you got to take your power back. And power isn't like, okay, like I'm responsible for this person beating me in my life. No, you're responsible for not leaving. You get what I'm saying? Like, you're responsible for not leaving. So you got to go back to where your power comes back in, and you need to make a powerful decision from there. Okay, so the second thing is to get myself to take action. I need to bonus myself. Okay, that's a funny way of saying it, right? Use the word incentivize. I need to incentivize myself. You need to incentivize yourself this week. This is why the bigger the vision, the better. I know it's so hard to believe because you think, if I can't hit this goal, how can I hit that? Well, that's because you're still taking this advice. So stop taking this advice, because the middle of the road, the middle class advice is the worst advice on the planet, because you're always stuck for your entire life. You hear me? Yes or no? You are always stuck for your entire life. So what does the middle class hold? A lot of effing weight all the time. The middle class is the working class that literally carries almost all the weight for every person on the planet. Well, don't hate the leaders that are making the money. Don't hate them. They're the ones that actually got what I'm teaching you. And they started defining their weeks big enough that they stopped procrastinating. Do you know that nothing pisses me off more than when someone doesn't hit a target? I can't, who else is like this? I cannot stand people, and it's not because I can't stand the person. I can't stand the weakness of letting ourselves off the hook. I can't stand that. Like, I have had 5 freaking miscarriages. You made it. You made it. You made it onto the planet. Like, when are you going to stop giving yourself an excuse? Oh, I'm so tired. I can't hit my KPI or your goal. Oh my gosh, I was just so busy. I couldn't put up that landing page. I have a virtual assistant company. Let me take a moment. Who needs a coach right now? Put coach in the chat. Who needs a coach right now? Put coach in the chat. I'm going to give you a coach's corner. And let me tell you something. If you're already a client of mine, coach with our coaches. But if you're not a client of mine, then go get a coach. We're going to drop a coach's corner in the chat right now. Go grab a coach. And you know what? Tell that coach that you made it on this planet and you're tired of your excuses. You're done. You're tired of your excuses. As a woman that's had 5 miscarriages, I'm telling you, my son is going all the F in because he made it. And when you say, I don't have enough support, you know what? Go to Upwork and get support. Go hire a virtual assistant from us. I don't know. There's coaches. I don't have the money. No, there's so much money in the world. I'm your money girl. I'll show you how. Do you know how many people still don't get off the freaking line to invest? I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. There's the link right there for the coach's corner on the video. Right? Grab it, because I'm going to have them take it down in a second. Open it up right now. Open it up right now, because when I keep going, you're going to forget this moment. Because it's about what is defining success. Well, part of you being able to create your evolution of freedom, you need help. Get a coach. My gift to you, this is the last week. And I'm flying to Puerto Rico on Saturday morning. And my jet's going. I'm going to be on it with my family. And when I land in Puerto Rico, my next chapter of this year starts. And I won't be in this moment anymore with you on this challenge. I'm not going to be showing you how to take action this week. I'm going to be taking action on the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people who jumped into leadership last week and the week before. Right? I'm going to be coaching them. I'm going to be strategizing with our company. I'm going to be tracking them. I'm going to be walking them across the line. We have over 95% success rate in our leadership training. You can pop that link down, right? So that doesn't take, I just fly to Puerto Rico and forget about them. That takes a lot of effort on my part, on the hardcore business team's part, on the hardcore leadership team's part, on my husband's part, on the trainer's part. It takes an army of people to get you out of your own way. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So you need to incentivize yourself. You need to give yourself bonuses to show up. So I'll share something with you. You can pull the timer off. Here's what bonus looks like for yourself. So think about this. I put this out. Who listened to the pocket coaching over the weekend? And even this morning, I think I was talking about this, this morning where I was saying, when I was in Las Vegas, I ran nightclubs. I had no business running nightclubs. I didn't know what pour costs were, so I didn't know how to do expenses. I didn't know how to do any of that. And by the way, I was scared shitless to talk to anybody in front of a room. Nevertheless, a bunch of bartenders and cocktail waitresses that knew more about the industry than I did. I have always landed in places of leadership. Why? Because I care enough about the person that owns the company that I am constantly thinking about how to hit their vision. Do you see what I'm saying? And I do well in that place because I get out of my own way. If it's about me, whenever it was about me making money, I never made any. Because I stalled out, because I wasn't really incentivized. You'd think I'd be incentivized with my own income, but I wasn't. Now you have to know what incentivizes you, what bonuses your life, right? How do you operate? You don't have to operate like me, but you got to be authentic about your own identity and what gets you going. And you got to not listen. Do you know how many people have told me that the way that how generous I am is 100% like not good? They're like, you could keep more money. You could do this, you could do that. And I'm like, listen, but that's not what gets me going. Right? What gets you going? What incentivizes your life? What gets you going? In Vegas, when I ran nightclubs, there was no bottle service. So if you don't know what bottle service is, it's when you go to a nightclub or a bar, right? And you sit down and they give you a $15 or a $40 bottle of vodka for $200, right? Like, it's like, how does that math work out? You're like, okay, like I go to the grocery store, at least here in America, and I buy that Smirnoff vodka for whatever amount of money it is. Let's call it $20, $30, whatever, right? And then you go to the nightclub, and all of a sudden, when it's in the nightclub, sitting at your table in a bucket, right? In a bucket, all of a sudden, when you take the same bottle, this is gonna be a horrible interpretation, right? So say I've got my bottle of vodka, and I paid $30 for it. You know what I'm saying? Now, when I change the environment, which by the way is your brain, your mind, your house, the people you hang out with, you know what I'm saying? Like all of that. Half the reason why leadership does so well is because everybody's focused on playing big in our leadership program. Get it? Like everybody's just focused on it. So you got an environment. I've taken the nightclub and I've changed the atmosphere, the environment. So now, this same bottle of vodka comes to the nightclub, and I give you a cocktail waitress who's cute. I give you a nice table to sit at, and your friends get to sit at the table with you. And now I get to charge you $300 for that bottle of vodka and tell you you have to buy 2 to stay at that environment. No kidding you. This is how it works. Okay, and if you buy the table, you don't have to pay the door charge, and you don't even have to stand in line. What is that called? VIP. So marketing, doing business, doing life, this is no different. I have a husband that's single, and I change the environment in which he lives his life, and now I get married and I get babies. And hopefully I get hiking, I get dates, I get flowers. But if the environment is a mess, if you are a hot mess and you can't make decisions, or you won't because you're consulting your bank account, you're consulting the time, well then I don't have enough time for you to go on this date. You know what I mean? Or like, oh my gosh, I can't buy 2 bottles of vodka. Forget if you're an alcoholic, you understand the scenario, right? It's like, I can't buy the 2 bottles of vodka, but here's the problem. What you're missing is the multiplying effect when you're sitting at the table. Depending on the room that you're in determines the multiplication factor. When you're building your weeks out, people are building based on this environment. I'm by myself, I'm alone. And as long as you are the single bottle of vodka, the single woman, the single man, the person in your life controllers that do everything and nobody's there to support you, or the supporter mentalities out there that never ever get in the room, because they're always supporting the people who are in the room. You know what I'm saying? Who my supporters, put an S in the chat, right? Or my analyzers are going, I would never pay $300 for that bottle of wine or bottle of vodka unless I know who's sitting at the table. See, when you incentivize your life, you have to manage your environment in your head. And you got to go, what gets me there? What gets me to say yes to playing bigger? And this is where leadership comes into play. Do you guys see this? Because if I can't manage my thinking like this, then what happens is I will constantly be looking at what's realistic. And what happens is, like, when I sold $170 million in real estate, I did not go find all those buyers myself. I had two buyers groups, one that did most of the buying. And then what happened was the developers, which this is the X factor, being in the right room. See, if you're the type of leader that people can bank on, the X factor gets bigger because everybody's sitting at a table. The question is, are you sitting at the right table? Okay, are you sitting at the right table? Are you sitting at a table with a bunch of people losing in life? People get very triggered when I say that. But listen, my job right now is not to be your friend. It is to actually tell you how to get in the right room. And it's not as hard as you think. It's all attitude. It's 100% attitude. When you're sitting around people, do you criticize and critique all the time? Or are you looking at where we're going? I'm interested in builders around me. And I'm telling you, there's nothing that drives my triggers up. It's an opportunity for me. I know it. But there's nothing that drives my emotional triggers up that take me out of my power than having somebody that is fucking realistic about the fact that this can't happen. Because I feel tethered by them. And I don't, like, no different than I wouldn't go to a doctor to heal my cancer that said that cancer is incurable. I would never, like, that is so crazy to me that anybody on the right mind is like, you're like at the wrong table. Go find the table that knows how to cure it, because there is one. I guarantee you, I have lived most of my successful, like, moments in my life have been from this thinking. This is how I run my week. I pray a lot, but I don't pray with hopes and desires. I pray with authority. God, you said that if I tithe, that you would open up the heavens and pour a blessing upon me, this family, this company, the employees, the community, that we could not even count the level of abundance coming our way. I command for that to happen now. I don't sit there and go, please make it work. Please give me a baby. I don't do that. But I need to have people sitting at my table that say, you can have that baby. You can create that level in your business. You can move to Puerto Rico. You get what I'm saying? Because they're building the environment. But you have to start with you making a decision and moving this week forward. We are halfway through the year, my friends. That's no joke. You made it on this planet. You made it on this planet. Not going all in is such a joke. And it's a joke that you don't want to be the butt of. And you're leading your life. So as I talk to you about this, what's starting to open up? Go in the chat, what's starting to open up for you? As I talk about this, what's starting to open up? Go all in. The runway to life is short. Vision. Come on, go in the chat. Go start going now matters. Clarity, go all in. Know the right people. Yeah, you need to know the right people, but you know what? The right people will know you. Just pay the money to go into a mastermind. If you're not an entrepreneur, go join a networking group that has high society people. Don't go to the group that you feel comfortable in. You know what I mean? Feel like the crazy person walking. Feel unqualified. Like permission to be effing uncomfortable in a world that waters everything down. Do you know what I mean? Like, be uncomfortable. I'm going to digress for a second. We talk about this all the time. Like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'll leave it. I'm going to do a pocket coaching on that. So the X factor is here, and this is what analyzers, you cannot quantify this. Okay, and I say this because analyzers, you are the best salespeople I know, but you got to get out of real estate. When I was in real estate and I sold properties to the people at the table, the investment groups, it took me less than 2 weeks to find the investment group. Shy, didn't know how to speak, didn't know my message, didn't know my hook, didn't know real estate, still cannot write a real estate contract. So you guys who still need more information on whether or not you're doing leadership or not, or whether or not you're moving to a country or not, or whether or not you're going to get married or not, like you need more information, you're fucking kidding yourself. Stop. Or you will keep struggling and missing your life. You've got to stop. Okay? It's like you don't need more information. What you need to do is you just go out there. I don't know how to write a real estate contract. Don't know anything. You just got to start. Dan talked about that. If you guys watch Dan Fleischman in the $100 million mastermind that I'm a part of, I cut $100,000 check. I go 3 times a year for 2 days, and there's no coaching. There's no questions. That's it. It just is what it is. But you know what? There's people sitting at the table. And the way I talk, which is my leadership, will determine how much X factor I get out of that room. So what is that? My character. That's it. You can't get away from yourself. It's your character. And are you constantly talking about just making money? Or are you constantly talking about the problems in your life? And the people at the table are getting up and they're leaving because they don't want to be at the table with somebody losing. Now, can you sit at the table and have bankruptcy? 100%. Can you sit at the table and have divorce? 100%. It happens all the time. All the time. Somebody who crushes it, then bankrupts. Somebody who everything is working, but their marriage falls apart. Do you know what I mean? Like everybody is doing it messy, just like you. The X factor is courage. It's not confidence. It's courage. You have to have enough courage to sit at the table unqualified. And that is the big X factor. Now in real estate, when I had these people, investors sitting at the table, the developers, the real estate developers started coming and asking me to sell in their developments. This is the part, analyzers, you cannot predict. This is the part, promoters, when you haven't finished things in the past, or you've gotten lost in group programs, or whatever the shit you tell yourself and why you justify holding back, whatever you tell yourself. I mean, you could keep telling yourself that, but everybody's leaving the table. Do you hear what I'm saying? They're all leaving the table because they're not interested. They're not going to invest, even if you have the courage to ask them to invest. They're not going to do it. They're all leaving the table because you are not leading, right? You are a risk until you're not. Starting today. Who's changing that right now? Put me. Who's changing that right now? Put me. Are you getting it? Can you see it? It's my vision. You got to get a new vision for your identity. Okay. So the real estate developers started asking me to sell in their developments. And I didn't know this would happen. And because of a great mentor sitting at the table, which is why team is really important, right? So I got a couple confidants in my life all the time. And all the people I go to for advice know about each other. They all know about each other because I'm referencing them all the time. Why? A pro never takes somebody else's advice as their own. I'm not owning other people's advice as my own. I'm giving credit where credit's due, right? Chris told me to do this. Mark Tim told me to do this. Dean Graziosi told me to do this. Randy Garn told me to do this. I am so humble and so coachable, and I'm naive enough to make it. I just bless you with that type of thinking, okay? So one of the people sitting at the table was my boss and also my mentor at the time. And she said, tell the real estate investors that you will not sell in their property unless they will give us the listing. And what I would do is I'd say in 14 days, if I can sell 25 properties in your development, you have to fire your listing agent and give us your listing. Powerful, right? That's an X factor. Well, if I've got a worthiness conversation, then guess what happens? I never ask. And if I don't have good people sitting at my table, what am I? I'm alone trying to create success in life. And nobody creates success alone. When people say they're a self-made millionaire, I'm like, bullshit. There were people sitting at your table. There were people pouring into you. Like, have some humility, right? There were people pouring into you because that X factor is a piece of advice. But here's where it all falls apart. Leadership. Because if you can't sit at the table because you're still wanting to be coached on how unworthy you feel, if you're still waiting for more information because you don't have enough information to make a decision, if you don't have enough money, welcome to the world. I don't know anybody who has enough money. Dan Fleischman, who sat on here a couple weeks ago, and we did that, I pay him $100,000 a year. He never has the money. Why? Because he has more deal flow than he can handle. He doesn't physically have enough money for all of it. What does he do? He goes back to the table. Says, hey guys, I've got an investment. I've got a business. I've got an entrepreneur. I got whatever. Who's he betting on? My friend Amy Lacey, cauliflower pizza. She started it. She started the whole trend. She was broke. She was next to her bed praying. She blew through all of her money. She's on the next to her bed. Her husband's sleeping in the bed, and her husband offers his retirement to her. And she's sitting here going, I don't feel worthy. Nothing's working. I got a vision. I know I'm supposed to be at this table, but am I freaking crazy? Who feels that way? And she's down on her knees. I always say even the atheist jumps down on their knees when they're just like, I'm out. Help, surrender, right? And literally she's on her knees, no kidding, true story. And she is praying for a sign. She's praying for whatever, but she's not waiting for the sign to take action. So y'all getting signs in your life constantly. You have signs every single day. It's probing you to show up. That's called the Holy Spirit. It's saying, come on, Sandra. Come on, Brad. Come on, Angie. Come on, let's go. Like, that's why you haven't given up yet. That's why you think in your head, am I freaking crazy? Because this hasn't come together yet. Well, guess what? I have lots of things that haven't come together yet. One is a baby, the second baby. But even when you feel weary, see, I don't let anybody sit at my table that doesn't pour into me. When someone says it's God's will that you have a baby, I'm like, you don't know God's will. I don't always tell them that, but you know me, 95% of the time I probably tell them that. But I'm like, here, let me show you all the scriptures that say God's will, right? Because it's not a hope and a desire, is it going to happen to you? There's spiritual warfare stopping you from creating results, period. There is nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you. You have massive authority to sit at these tables. I have seen people with no credentials. I'm one of them. I've sat at 4 of these tables in my life, and I've been unqualified every single time. I'm completely unqualified to go to the next jump in my business. Completely unqualified, but I have authority and I have courage. Who's going to stand up and have courage with me? Who's going to stand up and have courage with me? If you're sitting down right now, stand up. Stand up, physically stand up. You know what I mean? Physically stand up. No kidding. Stand up, Karen. Stand up. Physically stand up and be like, you know what? I have the courage. Repeat after me. I have the courage. I have the courage. I have the courage. That's all you need. That's all you need. You just need the courage. These tables are waiting for you. You can be there this week. Okay, so who's in your sphere of circle right now? Sisters, brothers, friends, whatever. They all know somebody, but they need you to stand up. And they need you to speak with authority. I am creating this in my life, period. That's it. So I'm going to ask you to start with this week. I'm going to tell you that you got to turn around. I'm going to end on this. You got to turn around. You got to ask yourself, if the bottle of vodka is worth $30 and I put it in an environment, it's worth $300, right? That's real. It's not, the physical bottle isn't more worthy. Okay, it just is put in a new environment. That's it. We need to get you into the environment in your head, and we're going to start this week. Okay, the environment in your head will tell you who's sitting at your table. I'm going to tell you, you can walk into a grocery store, you can walk into a coffee shop, you can walk into, some of you guys are going to do this. I've seen thousands of dollars over one day get created in this 21-day challenge. Right? Am I right, guys? I've seen thousands of dollars, which tells you that you could have been the one that created thousands of dollars. Okay. And I guarantee you some of those dollars fell through the cracks. Do I let them fall through the cracks? No. I turn around and I go, I'm going to raise more money. I'm going to ask more people. And I get into the committed action. Okay. So when I incentivize my life, I literally think, write this down. What am I going to gain this week if I hit this result? So I want you to define the week, and I want you to not settle for what you think you're worth. In other words, if I make a goal like I'm going to work out every single day this week and I'm going to eat healthy, I'm not going to eat any sugar. Say I make that goal, right? Now I have to ask myself, I need to incentivize this for myself. So if I'm like, well, because I'll feel better about myself, that's not strong enough. I will never show up for that. Now, if I have to be in a bikini, like on a yacht, because I'm going to take the yacht over the beach, right? If I got to be in a bikini and a yacht in 7 days, I'm probably intermittent fasting happily all week. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes? Get it? And I probably started the week before because I don't wait till my week of commitment. I always start before. Why? I want momentum. Okay, so we got this week that we're talking about. You have to not sell yourself out. Do not set a goal for this week, define the week and say this is what success looks like. Do not set the goal with a weak value proposition for you. Okay, if it's not good enough, don't settle because you're kidding yourself. You're kidding yourself. You're leading your fucking life, right? You're kidding yourself. So you got to say, I'm not motivated by that. And so, but you don't stop at that because that's weak and you're a winner. You don't stop with, oh, well, that doesn't motivate me. I don't know what motivates me. That's weak. You're a winner. Like nobody's, I'm bailing from your table. And so is everybody else in your life if you talk like that. And I get it. I've been in many moments of my life where I couldn't figure out my vision because nothing motivated me. If you've been listening to this challenge, I did a pocket coaching that said, start writing what you're proud of yourself for and why. Because you're not grateful, so you're having a hard time creating and defining something that motivates you. So just go back a step. Maybe you've got to write what you're proud of yourself for and why 5 times or 6 times before tonight ends. Do it. Oh, it's such a waste of time. I'm leaving your table. I'm out. Do you know what I mean? Like, and you got to get people at your table, and that can happen this week. This week, somebody can refer somebody to you. They can connect you with someone. The way you operate with the people around you, tell them, can they bet on this horse, which is you? Are you going to win? It is not the idea in life. You guys who are entrepreneurs, it is not a good idea that makes you rich. It's you. It's you. Dan Fleischman said, you know what? There's this one girl that I will bet on. I don't care what business she goes into. I will always bet on her. Every time she gets on a stage and she talks, she's completely congruent to what she's gaining and what other people are gaining. So you've got to incentivize yourself this week and say, the reason why you can lose weight to go to your high school reunion is because there's a value proposition there. Don't be freaking crazy. Don't be weak. You're strong. You made it on this planet, right? You're strong. I mean, just stop the shit. And just own your life. Whatever amount of life you have left, own it. Own it. But this is how you do it. So I do not let myself off the hook. I do not, when I set a goal, I have to hit it. I'm not crazy enough to think that just creating a book is going to create the next level of success. If I can't lead what's in front of me right now, why would I be able to lead the book? Right? So now I don't sit there and go, I suck. I sit there and I go, I'm bullish, because if I want to do the book here, I got to go bullish here. Do you guys see what I'm saying? So the runways that I keep talking about are designed by you. And it's 100% stop letting yourself off the hook. Stop working. Stop putting clothes on your body. Years ago, I went through my closet and I got rid of all the clothes. Is this helping you guys? Yes or no? I got rid of all the clothes that I didn't love. I said, you know what? I'm not putting anything on my body that I don't love anymore. Not leggings, not shorts, not anything, nothing. Nothing's going on this body that I don't love. You hear what I'm saying? Because I'm going to treat myself like a 10. Some of you guys need to go do that. Okay. Some of you guys need to go do that. In fact, remind me about Carla tomorrow. I might bring another little bonus in tomorrow. And so you got to design it like that. Got it? Okay. So I'm going to end on this. Sorry, you guys, we went a little long today. So I'm going to end on this. This week is going to be dynamic. I'm going to recommend that you make time to be here every day this week. I'm going to recommend if you're watching the replay, because somebody's going to be watching the replay of this afterwards, that you do everything you can to get uncomfortable this week and be live with us. And the reason why I say that, it's in the leadership of solving the problems that have us get up against the things that are unreasonable, the things that are uncomfortable, the things that are unrealistic, and figure out how to solve them. If anything else, just take this week's challenge as an opportunity to figure things out. And one of the things I'm asking you to figure out is how to be here live. I got Michael Strasner coming back on Wednesday. He's going to hump day you, which means he's going to come and he's going to push the week, right? And honestly, it's as much for you as it is for me, because I'm moving to Puerto Rico on Saturday. And I was like, here's the coaching I want, right? And I'm like, but instead of me keeping it quiet behind closed doors, I've asked him to bring the coaching that I'm asking him for, to push my week over to you guys, right? So I'm literally going to be sitting here taking the same notes and applying the filter over my life so that I finish the week strong, because my week will be completing in Puerto Rico. Okay, it'll be completing. I'll share something with you. My jet's going to Puerto Rico, and then it's called deadheading back, which means it's flying back without passengers because we don't have a hangar there. And this is not odd, right? Like Ed Millette has a plane, same thing. He just went to Florida. He deadheaded it back to California. So the plane's coming back to California, and which means it's coming back with high gas prices. Who doesn't like the pump prices, right? The gas. Well, let me tell you, when you're burning 300 gallons an hour, it adds up, right? It's like adds up. So the plane's coming back without us. And this is the power of leadership. And I have to give my mom credit, because before she did leadership, my mother never thought like this. She would have been like, ooh, that's a lot of money. See what I'm saying? She'd be like, ooh. And so instead, you know what my mom said to me? She said, the plane's deadheading back, Shanda. Why don't you put a note out in Puerto Rico and see if there's anybody in Puerto Rico that would like to catch the plane back, even if they only pay 10,000 or 15,000, whatever, of the gas coming back. I'm like, that's a great idea, Mom. And I went and I popped it in, and I'm not kidding you, within about 10 minutes, I had 5 or 6 people reach out like that. Do you know what I mean? I was like, what a great, I like that my mom's finally sitting at my table. My mom never used to be sitting at my table. My mom used to be annoying with love. I fought with her all the time. She was constantly criticizing me. She was constantly telling me to be careful. I never tell my son to be careful, ever. He scares the shit out of me, skiing black diamonds at 6 years old, ready to kill his father, taking him down Black Diamond. I never speak a word of scarcity, fear, be careful, ever over my son. I'm just ready to airlift him to the hospital if I need to. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I'm ready to do whatever the fall is going to look like, we're going to solve it. Do you see what I'm saying? I don't think death. I know maybe y'all think I should, but I don't. I think life. I think gain. What is he going to gain going down the Black Diamond at 6? I'm going to gain a heart problem. He is going to gain confidence. You got what I'm saying? So I love that my mom's sitting at my table, and what a contribution. And do you know what it's like to do life with a parent or a spouse or a business partner that doesn't constantly anchor you on what's realistic? I'll tell you what happens. You build a legacy. And if you don't build a legacy, guess what you're building? A limitation. And you are passing that down to everybody in your life. For anything else, for God's sakes, even if you have no spouses or kids or grandkids or anyone, you got people around you who are watching you. When you go to the grocery store, you go to the coffee shop, whatever, you are causal. And who you're being makes every bit of a difference. So we're going to end on this. I want you to do homework. today, tonight, whatever. I'm going to create a pocket coaching that's going to drive this deeper. Okay. And I'm going to get into some specifics on the pocket coaching. So look in your emails for pocket coaching. Okay. VIPs will send you a text message, all of that. Okay. So look for the pocket coaching. It's going to come out very soon. Okay. It's going to come out very soon. I've already created it. It's ready to go in like 10, 15, 20 minutes. I created it literally last night because as I was looking through the content today, I was like, I want them to get this piece. Okay, so listen to the pocket coaching. Is that a goal? Is that a yes? Put a yes in the chat. Listen to the pocket coaching. Go look for it. Okay, go look for it. Listen to the pocket coaching. I want you to go inside the Facebook group and I want you to define what this week looks like. I need to read those. Okay, so you guys aren't paying me. I'm going in there and I'm reading them. You know, you can see my comments. Okay, you know, you can see my comments. A bunch of you guys did the homework over the weekend and a bunch of you didn't. Because I saw the volume of people who did it. And so I go listen to the homework from this weekend and do it. Because if you're going to model great success, you're going to have to do some of these foundational pieces to get your definitions ready to go. Okay, so go in the chat or go in the Facebook group and share with me the definition of what success looks like. And if this is not necessary, but if you can share with me what the incentive, like how you're incentivized to create this result, that will tell me if I believe you. Okay, so I can tell a lot about your weekly goals by listening to this is why I'm incentivized to do this. Okay, I can tell a lot. So I can do some great coaching with you and you got me this week. And then that's it. Now I want to share something with you. We had a glitch over the weekend. We had somebody leave the company. We had team that was a little confused about some things and we didn't actually close down the leadership page. Who knows that? Because you went there over the weekend. We had people come in over the weekend. So we didn't close the leadership training. And so we had closed down the cart last Friday. It didn't get closed down. And so here's what we're going to do. There's a blessing and there's a huge opportunity right now. So this is a $5,000 training. Sometimes with the students, we give them an opportunity to, if they have a family member, to bring them in at $3,700. So this is real numbers. So it's a $5,000 training. When you're a student, we give you an opportunity to bring in a business partner, somebody that you love, a friend, your parent, whatever, for $3,700. Right now, if you go to joinhclnow.com, it's $2,200 to do the training. Okay, there's also a payment option on there. They just put a link up. I'm going to highly suggest that you put yourself first and you do this. I know a bunch of you guys already jumped in. Okay, and so on that page is last Friday's offer. It means you do vision and breakthrough, which are 2 intensives. You do them virtually. Okay, vision is exactly what it is. We need to get you to think bigger. We need to get you to define your life in a bigger way and go after it. Breakthrough just gives you the power to do it, puts you right back in your power so you could do it. There's nothing else you need to know about that. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't need to know how many hours is it, you don't need that. You need to know, do you want this? Do you want a legacy worth fighting for? Yes or no? Go in the chat, yes or no. And so you got to ask yourself that's the piece that you want to look at. Okay. So in order for me to get you out of your own way, I've never been able to coach anybody as fast as when they do leadership. Okay. So its vision is 3 days. This is not a business program. This is a you showing the F up for your life program. You get to define. If you want to build a business, you can do that in the 3rd level, which is practice. So there's vision, which is 3 days. 3 days. It's on the page. It's on joinhclnow.com. Then you have breakthrough, which is 4 days. And it's usually about 2 weeks later. Okay, we've got multiple different classes. So there's no reason why you can't enroll now, take advantage of the price, and do it in a couple months from now. But I will say this, you want to do it sooner and later because everything you touch will start to turn to gold. No kidding, right? Like you can't get out from underneath your life and your identity. We can redefine that and build the life that you want, and it can happen very, very quickly. We don't have to spend the next 3 years of your life building something. We can build it now this year. Who would like to build their life this year? right? You can build your life this year. So you need to understand, you need to build your runway and say, listen, if this is 3 days and this is 2 weeks later at 4 days, and then you have a third level, which is called practice, which is exactly what it sounds like. You're going to practice actually executing, taking action. I'm going to coach you on taking action all this week, but I'm done at the end of this week, right? Like, I got my plane. I'm taking off. It's time for you to get yours. Truly, I never thought I'd ever have a plane, but you get to get yours. And it didn't take that many years to do it. And I promise you, I'm dyslexic. I was afraid of speaking in public. You know, I was beat when I was a child, called stupid all the time. You know, I got my messy shit too. But if I can break through, you can break through. But you got to trust yourself. Like, this is the time, because this price point is uneffing heard of. Okay, I've discounted it so much, and I'm shutting the page down today, Scout's Honor. Okay, it's going away. And you can't call me later and say, oh my God, Shanda, can I do it now because I got the money in 2 days from now? The answer is no, because of integrity. So I hold the line, okay? So you got vision breakthrough practice. That alone is incredible for $2,200. But if you do the pay in full option, we will give you the teen program, which means that this is a $2,500 program for teens. The best trainer on the entire planet leads this. I'm not qualified to lead this. He is going to train basically it's a 3-week process for teenagers. And so, yes, we know they're in school, all that type of stuff. We've got a couple different classes. We didn't expect the blowout that we ended up getting. And so I knew that the hardcore leadership offer would go over well, but I didn't think through. I honestly didn't think through, and this is leadership. I didn't think through how many people we're going to want to do teens. And I didn't realize we can only do very small groups. So welcome to the world of everything changes and the rug gets pulled out from under you and you got to figure it out, right? And so we have to do multiple classes, which I was not anticipating, but Hardcore is going to cover that cost. And so you get to nominate a teenager with the pay in full option. Now, there is a payment plan. You can see it on the link on the screen, joinhclnow.com. There is a payment process. So if you need me to be your bank, I'm happy to be your bank. I will still add the other incentives and bonuses, which means I'll show you how to build business. And if you're an employee, you need to do my list building program. Okay, I show you how to monetize it. I show you how to do all of that inside of that training. The reason why I'm willing to give that to either the people who pay in full or the payment plan is because I just don't think it's okay anymore to actually allow finances to be a problem. Can I get a yes on that? Can I get a yes on that, right? It's like, it's not okay. It's freaking irresponsible. And it's time to change that. So with the leadership training, I'm giving you my list building program. I'm giving you 90 days of coaching after the list building program to help you execute and take action, right? So you've got so much security here. So even if you don't identify as somebody who makes a lot of money, let's change that identity and let's do that here, okay? And my list building training, just so you know, we have been selling that training for $3,000 for I don't even know how many years. During COVID, we opened up and started selling for $700, $2,000, $1,500, all over the board over the last 2 years. And we have empowered thousands of entrepreneurs, thousands and thousands and thousands of entrepreneurs, and people who weren't entrepreneurs to create side hustles and sell their advice and create more income for their families, right? It's been really, really epic. We've trained the list building training to 12-year-olds, to 15-year-olds, all the way up to 80-year-olds, right? So we've had people with cancer doing chemo. They wouldn't be doing chemo if I was sitting in my so I'll stop. You know what I mean? But I mean, it's true. We've had incredible success stories. There's a woman that was doing chemo. Thank God she came out the other end of it, and she did it 100% from her hospital bed. Okay, and so she was really sick. And so the leadership program, you just don't execute without it. Right? So if you know that you've got a next gear and you want to get there, then I'm the bridge to that next gear for you. Okay. I know 100%, you already know who I am. You know how I train, you know my personality. You either trust me or you don't. It's time to trust yourself and get yourself into that training. Go to joinhclnow.com before we shut down this page and we raise the price back up. So tomorrow the page will be raised back up. The price will be up. It is what it is. And we're back to regular business as needed. I will finish the rest of this training off at the end of this week. But for God's sakes, if you got a problem finding that next gear, let me be that bridge to take you to your next finish line. So we will give you the list building program with it. If you do the pay in full, which I recommend that you figure it out, kind of like the same reason why I'm saying, show up to the trainings all week, right? It's like, solve the problem, solve the problem. And so I recommend that you do this and you fight for a team. And that's why I set it up that way. So I recommend you do the pay in full and you fight for a teen, gift a teen a $2,500 program, find one, guarantee you have a friend if you don't have one that has somebody that's interested in this, okay? And just so you know, on top of this, we are selling this teen program to our Hardcore Leadership graduates at $1,000, which is a discount. So that's a real number that they're buying at right now to put a teen in. Okay, they started blowing up my phone saying, should we reinvest in the program for $2,200 just to get the teen? And we're like, no, we'll give that to you. We'll give you that training for $1,000. You see what I'm saying? So these are real, this is not made up. This is an opportunity to jump in and start driving your life. And let me help you take you over the bridge to freedom. All right, you guys, I'm gonna move to VIP. You've got literally until 10 p.m. tonight before this page goes up. All right.